The evening sun cast long shadows across the busy subway station in downtown Chicago as a young mother's voice echoed through the underground passages. Her gentle melody carried the weight of desperation and hope, mixing with the rhythmic sounds of passing trains and hurried footsteps. At just 28, Anna had never imagined this would be her life. Every evening, after finishing her day's shift at the local diner, she would make her way to this spot, guitar in hand, to sing for spare change. Her 6-year-old daughter, Luna, always sat quietly beside her, homework spread across her lap, occasionally humming along to her mother's songs. Life hadn't always been this hard. 3 years ago, Anna had a stable job as a kindergarten teacher, a comfortable apartment, and dreams of opening her own daycare center. But when Luna was diagnosed with a rare respiratory condition, everything changed. The mounting medical bills forced Anna to sell their car, then their furniture, and finally, they had to leave their apartment for a tiny room in a shared house. Just a little longer, mi amor, Anna would whisper to Luna each night as she counted the day's earnings. Some days brought nothing more than a few dollars and sympathetic smiles. Other days, if they were lucky, a kind stranger might drop a 20 in her guitar case. It was never enough, but Anna refused to give up. Luna needed her inhaler refills, and the insurance wouldn't cover them all. That Tuesday evening started like any other. Anna's fingers were sore from washing dishes all day, but she strummed her guitar anyway, singing a mix of folk songs and popular ballads she'd learned over the years. Luna sat cross-legged beside her, working on her multiplication tables, occasionally looking up to give her mother an encouraging smile. The crowd moved as it always did, some passengers hurrying past without a glance, others pausing briefly to drop coins or small bills. But there was one man who stood differently from the rest. He wasn't dressed in the typical business attire of downtown workers. Instead, he wore simple jeans and a worn leather jacket, his salt and pepper hair slightly messy as if he'd been running his hands through it all day. For nearly an hour, he leaned against a pillar, listening. He didn't look at his phone or check the time. He just listened, his eyes often closed, sometimes nodding along to the rhythm. Anna noticed him but kept singing, used to all kinds of observers in the subway station. As the evening crowd thinned and Anna prepared to pack up, the man finally approached. Luna instinctively moved closer to her mother, clutching her homework sheets. The man knelt down to be at eye level with them both. "Your voice," he said softly, "it reminds me of someone I used to know." His eyes were kind but carried a hint of sadness. "My wife, she used to sing in places like this before she got her break. She passed away 2 years ago, but she never forgot where she came from." Anna held Luna close, unsure how to respond. The man reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. "I own a recording studio downtown," he continued. "Nothing fancy, but we work with local artists, help them get started. We're always looking for authentic voices." Anna's hands trembled as she took the card. She'd heard of similar offers before, some legitimate, others not so much. But something about this man's demeanor felt genuine. The card was simple, bearing the name, Second Chance Studios, with an address and phone number. "I can't promise fame or fortune," he said, standing up slowly. "But I can offer you a chance to do what you love in a warm studio, with proper equipment, and fair pay. No strings attached, just music." Luna tugged at her mother's sleeve, her eyes wide with hope. Anna looked at her daughter, then back at the card. Years of hardship had taught her to be cautious, but they had also taught her to recognize genuine kindness when it appeared. "Why?" she asked simply. The man smiled, a mix of warmth and melancholy in his expression. "Because 20 years ago, someone gave my wife a similar chance when she was singing in a subway station in Boston. She always said that when she made it, she'd do the same for someone else. I'm just keeping her promise." He dropped several bills in Anna's guitar case, enough to cover Luna's inhaler for the month, and started to walk away. Then he paused and turned back. The studio opens at 9 tomorrow morning. If you're interested, come by. Bring your guitar and your little one. We have a comfortable waiting area where she can do her homework. As his footsteps faded into the evening crowd, Anna held Luna close, her daughter's warmth anchoring her to the moment. The business card felt heavy in her pocket, heavy with possibility, with hope, with the chance for change. That night, as they rode the bus home, Luna fell asleep against her mother's shoulder, and Anna found herself humming a new tune. For the first time in years, it wasn't a song of desperation, but one of possibility. Tomorrow would bring what it would bring, but tonight, in this moment, hope felt tangible enough to hold. Anna barely slept that night. The business card sat on her small bedside table, illuminated by the streetlight filtering through their thin curtains. Luna's steady breathing from the fold-out couch across the room provided a rhythm to her thoughts as she weighed her options. The next morning, after dropping Luna at school, Anna called in sick to the diner for the first time in 2 years. Her hands shook as she dialed, guilt mixing with excitement. Her manager, understanding the dedication she'd shown over the years, didn't question it. Standing outside Second Chance Studios at 8:55 a.m., Anna almost turned back 3 times. The building wasn't what she'd expected. No gleaming glass windows or imposing security desk, just a converted brownstone with warm light spilling from its windows. A small sign above the door matched the one on the business card. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door. The reception area smelled of coffee and cinnamon, with worn but comfortable chairs scattered around. Behind the desk sat an elderly woman with silver hair and kind eyes, solving a crossword puzzle. "You must be the subway singer," the woman said warmly, looking up. "I'm Rose. He said you might come." She gestured to a steaming coffee pot in the corner. "Help yourself. He's just finishing up a call." Anna clutched her guitar case closer, studying the walls. They were covered with photographs, not of famous celebrities, but of ordinary people making music. Some were performing in small venues, others working in recording booths. All of them looked genuinely happy. "Those are our family," Rose explained, following Anna's gaze. "Every artist who's ever recorded here. Some made it big, others didn't, but they're all part of our story." Before Anna could respond, a door opened, and the man from the subway appeared. In daylight, she could see the subtle details she'd missed before, the laugh lines around his eyes, the paint stains on his jeans, the wedding ring he still wore. "You came," he said simply, extending his hand. "I'm David. Sorry about the mystery yesterday, the subway isn't the best place for introductions." He led her through the studio, explaining as they went. The space was a maze of small recording rooms, each with its own character. Musicians of various ages were already at work, their music bleeding faintly through soundproofed walls. "We're not a traditional studio," David explained, showing her a cozy recording booth. "We believe in giving artists time to develop their sound without the pressure of immediate success. Everyone who records here gets a fair wage for their time, whether their songs ever make it to radio or not." Anna's throat tightened. I'm not really a professional. I just sing what I know." David's eyes crinkled with understanding. "That's exactly what we're looking for. Authenticity. Raw talent. The rest can be taught." He paused, considering his next words carefully. "My wife, Maria, she used to say that the best songs come from life itself, from struggle, from joy, from love. When I heard you singing to your daughter yesterday, I heard that kind of truth." He explained the details. She would start with 3 recording sessions a week, paid hourly, with flexible timing to accommodate Luna's school schedule. They would provide vocal training, help her develop her own songs, and connect her with other musicians if she wanted. "But what's the catch?" Anna asked, the question that had kept her awake all night finally spilling out. David sat down, gesturing for her to do the same. The catch is that you have to be willing to try. To believe in yourself as much as we believe in you. This isn't charity, it's an investment in talent. He shared stories about other artists who'd started at second chance, a single father who now wrote jingles for commercials, a former teacher whose songs were being used in independent films, a teenager who'd gone from homeless to having her own YouTube channel with thousands of followers. Success looks different for everyone, he explained. We're not promising fame. We're offering a chance to make music your living, not just your survival. As they talked, Rose appeared with lunch, simple sandwiches and fruit. Anna hadn't realized how much time had passed. She needed to pick up Luna soon. Take the weekend to think about it, David said, walking her to the door. Talk it over with your daughter. If you decide this is something you want to try, we'll be here Monday morning. Anna stepped out into the afternoon sunlight, her mind spinning with possibilities. The weight of years of struggle seemed a little lighter, the future a little less daunting. That evening, instead of heading to the subway station, Anna took Luna to the small park near their room. As her daughter played on the swings, Anna told her about Second Chance Studios, careful not to promise too much but unable to hide her excitement. Luna's eyes lit up. Does this mean you won't have to sing in the subway anymore? Maybe, mi amor. But we have to be practical. It might not work out. Luna jumped off the swing and hugged her mother tightly. It will work, Mama. Your voice is magic, that's what the nice man saw. That's what everyone sees. That night, after Luna fell asleep, Anna took out her notebook, the one where she'd been scribbling song lyrics during breaks at the diner, on bus rides, in quiet moments before dawn. Songs about struggle and hope, about a mother's love, about dreams that refuse to die. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine these words coming to life in a real studio, with proper instruments and guidance. She thought about Luna doing her homework in a warm, safe space instead of a crowded subway platform. The weekend stretched ahead, full of possibility and uncertainty. But as Anna finally drifted off to sleep, her daughter's words echoed in her mind, "Your voice is magic." Perhaps it was time to believe in that magic herself. Monday morning arrived with a mixture of rain and autumn chill. Anna had spent the weekend wrestling with her decision, but watching Luna's eyes light up every time they discussed the studio had slowly melted her doubts. They arrived at Second Chance Studios together, Luna bouncing with excitement despite the early hour. Rose greeted them with the same warm smile, this time with hot chocolate for Luna and coffee for Anna. The waiting area had transformed since Friday, a small desk perfect for homework had appeared in the corner, complete with a reading lamp and comfortable chair. This used to be where my granddaughter studied, Rose explained, showing Luna to the desk. She's in college now, but I kept thinking someone else might need it someday. David emerged from one of the recording rooms, his face brightening when he saw them. I had a feeling you'd come back, he said, then knelt to Luna's level. Would you like to see where your mom's going to make music? Luna nodded enthusiastically, clutching her backpack. The studio tour was different with her there. David pointed out the sound waves on the recording software, explaining how they looked like ocean waves. He showed her the various instruments, letting her gently strum a guitar and tap a drum pad. Now, he said, pulling out a child-sized pair of headphones, these are very special. When your mom's recording, you can wear these and be the first person to hear her songs. What do you think? Want to be our youngest sound engineer? Luna's face glowed with importance as she carefully put on the headphones. Anna felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes, watching her daughter fit so naturally into this space that had seemed impossible just days ago. The real work began that afternoon, after Luna's school day ended. Anna sat in the recording booth, her familiar guitar across her lap, trying to calm her racing heart. David's voice came through the headphones, gentle and encouraging. Just sing what you know, he said. Pretend you're in your usual spot at the subway. We're just here to listen. Anna closed her eyes and began with the song she'd been working on all weekend, a melody that had come to her while watching Luna sleep, about dreams taking flight on paper wings. Her voice wavered at first, but then she caught sight of Luna through the booth window, wearing her special headphones and swaying to the music, and everything else fell away. The hours flowed differently in the studio. What felt like minutes would turn out to be hours of recording, refining, and learning. David introduced her to basic music theory, teaching her to read notes and understand chord progressions. A vocal coach named Clara began working with her twice a week, helping her strengthen her voice without losing its raw emotional quality. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some days, the pressure of learning so much new material overwhelmed her. The technical aspects of recording sometimes left her frustrated, and there were moments when the old doubts would creep back in. Was she really good enough for this opportunity? One particularly difficult session, after struggling with a complicated harmony for hours, Anna broke down in tears. Luna, who had been quietly doing her homework, slipped into the booth and wrapped her small arms around her mother. "Remember when I couldn't do multiplication?" Luna whispered. "You said it was okay to find things hard as long as we don't give up." "You didn't let me give up, Mama. I won't let you give up either." David watched this exchange through the booth window, his expression thoughtful. Later that evening, as they were packing up, he shared a recording with Anna, her first song, rough and unpolished, played alongside her most recent version. The difference was striking. "Progress isn't always visible when you're in the middle of it," he said. "But it's happening every day. Maria used to say that music is like raising a child, it grows in tiny moments that you only notice when you step back and really look." As weeks turned into months, Anna's life fell into a new rhythm. Mornings at the diner, afternoons at the studio, evenings spent with Luna. She'd stopped singing in the subway. The studio's fair wage meant she could finally afford Luna's medical bills without the extra hours of street performance. The other artists at Second Chance became like family. There was Carlos, a retired mechanic who wrote blues songs about his life working on cars, May, a young college student whose classical piano training merged beautifully with modern pop, and Tom, a former accountant turned country singer who helped Anna understand the business side of music. One day, about 3 months into her time at the studio, David called Anna into his office. Luna was at a friend's house for a playdate, a normal childhood activity that had seemed impossible just months ago when they were struggling to make ends meet. "We've been compiling your songs," David said, playing a demo track through his computer speakers. 10 original compositions, professionally recorded and produced. "Listen." Anna sat in stunned silence as her own voice filled the room. The songs were polished but still authentic, her raw emotion enhanced rather than overshadowed by the professional production. Each track told a piece of her story, the struggles, the hopes, the love for her daughter, the dream of something better. "We've been sharing your demo with some independent labels," David continued. "There's interest, Anna. Real interest. But before we go any further, I need to know, what do you want from this? Fame? Recognition? Or something else?" Anna thought about the past 3 months, about Luna doing homework in a warm, safe space, about the joy of creating something beautiful, about the community she'd found at Second Chance. Success had already happened, she realized, just not in the way she'd originally imagined it. "I want to keep making music," she said simply. "I want to tell stories that matter. I want Luna to see that dreams don't have to stay dreams. And maybe..." She paused, thinking of all the other mothers out there, singing in subway stations and street corners, "Maybe I want to help someone else the way you helped me." David smiled, a look of pride and understanding crossing his face. "That's exactly what Maria would have said." He pulled out a folder filled with papers, performance opportunities at local venues, collaboration requests from other artists, and a plan for releasing her first EP. "Ready for the next chapter?" he asked. Anna thought of the business card that had changed everything, still tucked safely in her wallet. She thought of Luna's face lighting up every time she heard a new song. Of the community that had embraced them both, of the magic that happens when someone believes in you enough to give you a chance. "Ready," she said, and this time, her voice didn't shake at all. Spring arrived with unexpected opportunities. Anna's first EP, titled Paper Wings, had been released on several digital platforms, and the response was quietly building. Local radio stations began playing her songs, particularly the title track about Luna's paper airplane dreams. But it was a different kind of recognition that touched Anna's heart the most. One afternoon, while working on a new song, Rose knocked on the recording booth's window. "There's someone here to see you," she said, her eyes twinkling with secretive joy. In the waiting area stood a young woman, perhaps a few years younger than Anna, holding the hand of a small boy. She looked nervous, clutching a worn guitar case similar to the one Anna had carried just months ago. "I heard you at the Jefferson Street station," the woman said softly. "Every Thursday evening for the past year. My son and we would always stop to listen." She paused, gathering courage. "Last week, you weren't there, but someone was playing your song from their phone. They told me about this place, about your story." The woman's name was Carmen, and her story echoed with familiar notes of struggle and determination. She worked 2 jobs, sang in the parks on weekends, and dreamed of something more for her son. As she spoke, Luna emerged from her homework corner, immediately connecting with Carmen's boy over a shared love of superhero stickers. Anna looked at David, who had appeared quietly in the doorway. He nodded, a gentle smile playing at his corners of his mouth. "Why don't we show Carmen the studio?" Anna suggested, remembering her own first tour just months ago. That evening, as Anna and Luna walked home, Luna asked a question that made her mother's heart swell. "Mama, is Carmen going to make magic music like you now?" "I hope so, mi amor. Everyone deserves a chance to make their magic real." The following weeks brought more changes. Anna finally felt secure enough to leave her job at the diner, focusing fully on her music and the growing community at Second Chance. She began mentoring Carmen, passing on the lessons she'd learned, watching another dream slowly take flight. David expanded the studio's waiting area, adding more homework spaces as other parent musicians joined their family. The sound of children's laughter became as common as the music flowing from the recording booths. Rose started a small library in her corner, filling it with books in multiple languages. Anna's first live performance was at a small coffee shop near the studio. The owner, charmed by her story and her music, had offered her a regular weekend spot. The whole Second Chance family came to support her: David, Rose, Carlos, May, Tom, and even Carmen with her son. Luna sat in the front row, wearing her sound engineer headphones like a crown. The coffeehouse wasn't a grand concert hall, but as Anna sang her songs to a room full of people who chose to be there, who paid to hear her music, she felt like she was exactly where she belonged. The tips she earned that night weren't from pity or sympathy, they were an appreciation of her art. One song particularly resonated with the audience, a new composition about second chances and the strangers who become family. As she performed it, Anna caught David's eye. He was sitting in the back, one arm around Rose's shoulders, looking at the community he'd built with quiet pride. After the show, while Luna helped Rose pack up the guitar and everyone chatted over leftover cookies, a well-dressed woman approached Anna. She introduced herself as a representative from a children's hospital, explaining that they were looking for someone to run music therapy sessions for their young patients. "We've heard your story," the woman explained, "and we've seen how you connect with children through music. Would you be interested in sharing that gift with kids who really need it?" Anna thought about all the nights in the subway, singing through exhaustion while Luna did her homework. She thought about the other parents out there, fighting their own battles, carrying their own dreams. Maybe this was another way to pass on the kindness that had changed her life. The hospital program started small, just 2 afternoons a week. Anna would bring her guitar to the children's ward, singing soft songs of hope and courage. Luna would sometimes join her after school, teaching other kids how to make paper airplanes and sharing her special headphones with those who wanted to feel closer to the music. One day, while singing to a young patient who reminded her so much of Luna, Anna realized something profound. Success wasn't just about record deals or radio plays, it was about using your voice to make a difference, however small, in someone else's story. Back at the studio, she began working on a new album. This one was different from her first EP, less about personal struggle and more about community, healing, and the ripple effect of kindness. David brought in other second-chance artists to collaborate, creating a tapestry of sounds and stories that reflected their shared journey. Carmen's voice joined hers on several tracks, their harmonies weaving together like old friends. Carlos added his blues guitar, May her piano, and even Rose contributed a verse she'd written years ago but never shared. The album was becoming more than just Anna's project, it was a testament to the power of giving people a chance to shine. During one recording session, Luna asked a question that stopped everyone in their tracks: "Can we put in the sound of paper airplanes?" And so they did. The gentle swoosh of folded dreams taking flight became the backdrop to their most powerful song yet. David worked his production magic, layering the simple sound with their music until it felt like hope itself had a soundtrack. "You know," David said one evening, as they listened to the final mix, "Maria would have loved this. She always said music should do more than fill silence, it should fill souls." Anna looked around the studio that had become her second home. Luna was teaching Carmen's son how to fold a new type of paper airplane while Rose watched adoringly. Through the booth window, she could see Carmen recording her own song, her confidence growing with each take. "I think," Anna said softly, "it already does." That night, as they walked home under the city stars, Luna humming their new song, Anna realized that their story wasn't just about a desperate mother and a kind stranger anymore. It had grown into something larger, a symphony of second chances, playing on in ways they could never have imagined. As summer approached, the collaborative album, now titled Paper Airplane Symphony, was gaining attention beyond their local community. A popular music blog featured it in their Hidden Gems section, praising its authentic storytelling and raw emotional power. But it was a seemingly ordinary Tuesday afternoon that brought the most meaningful recognition. Anna was working with a young patient at the children's hospital, a quiet girl named Joy who hadn't spoken since her accident 3 months ago. They sat together by the window, Anna softly strumming her guitar, when Joy suddenly pointed at a paper airplane drifting past. "Can you teach me?" she whispered, her voice rough from disuse. The room fell silent. Joy's mother, who had been dozing in a corner chair, jerked awake. The nurse checking vitals froze mid-task. Anna simply smiled and pulled out a sheet of paper from her ever-present stack. "Of course," she said, as if this was just another ordinary moment. "Luna taught me a special way to make them fly farther. Would you like to learn that one?" As Anna guided Joy's small hands through the folds, she began humming the paper airplane song from the album. To her surprise, Joy hummed along. She'd been listening to the music during her therapy sessions. That evening, Joy's mother caught Anna in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. The doctors said she might never speak again, she managed between sobs. "But your music, those paper airplanes, they gave her something to want to say." The story spread through the hospital, then through the local media. Soon, Anna's music therapy sessions were being studied by healthcare professionals interested in alternative healing methods. But Anna insisted on keeping things simple and personal, focusing on one child, one song, one paper airplane at a time. Back at Second Chance Studios, more changes were taking shape. David had converted an unused storage room into a small performance space, hosting monthly community concerts where both established artists and newcomers could share their music. They called it The Nest, a safe place for new voices to take flight. Luna, now 7, had become the unofficial welcoming committee for other musicians' children. She'd created a special corner in the nest filled with art supplies, books, and, of course, paper for making airplanes. The walls were slowly filling with colorful drawings and carefully folded paper creations, each one carrying its own dream. One evening, after a particularly moving performance by Carmen, who had blossomed into a confident performer, David gathered everyone in the nest for an announcement. Rose stood beside him, beaming with pride as he unveiled their newest initiative, the Second Chance Scholarship Program. Music shouldn't be a luxury, David explained, his voice thick with emotion. Starting next month, we'll be offering full scholarships to 5 talented artists who couldn't otherwise afford studio time. The selection committee will include our current artists, because who better to recognize that spark of determination than those who've carried it themselves? Anna found herself nominated to head the committee, along with Carlos and May. Together, they began visiting local community centers, schools, and yes, subway stations, looking for those raw voices that just needed a chance to soar. Their first scholarship recipient was a high school janitor who wrote songs during his lunch breaks. The second was a nurse who sang to her elderly patients. Each story was different, but they all shared that same hunger for music that Anna remembered from her subway days. The local press picked up the story, leading to an unexpected phone call from a major record label. They were interested in distributing Paper Airplane Symphony nationally, impressed by its grassroots success and unique collaborative nature. But their offer came with conditions. They wanted to polish it, make it more commercial. Anna called a family meeting, not just Luna, but the entire Second Chance family. They gathered in the nest, sharing pizza and stories as they discussed the opportunity. The label's resources could help their music reach more people, but at what cost? You know what I think? Luna piped up, her hands busy folding a complex new airplane design. Our music is special because it's real. Like these airplanes, they're not perfect, but they fly better because we make them with love. Out of the mouths of babes, as Rose would say. The decision became clear. They would maintain their independence, choosing authenticity over commercial success. Instead, they focused on expanding their community outreach. Anna started a weekly workshop called Songs of Hope, teaching other parents how to use music to connect with their children. Carmen joined her, bringing her experience of transitioning from street performer to recording artist. Together, they created a support system for struggling musicians, offering not just musical guidance but practical advice about balancing artistry with parenthood. The Children's Hospital program expanded to include weekend music classes for young patients and their siblings. Luna, showing an early talent for teaching, helped the younger kids with their paper airplanes while their older siblings learned basic guitar chords. 1 year to the day after David first approached Anna in the subway station, they held a special concert in the nest. The room was packed with faces both familiar and new, hospital patients and their families, scholarship recipients, community members, and even some of the regular commuters who used to stop and listen to Anna's subway performances. As Anna stood on the small stage, looking out at this incredible tapestry of lives touched by music, she began to sing a new song. It was about paper airplanes and subway stations, about strangers becoming family, about dreams that take flight in unexpected ways. Luna joined her on stage, launching paper airplanes into the audience at just the right moments, each one carrying messages of hope written by the children from the hospital. David watched from his usual spot at the back of the room, his eyes glistening. Rose slipped her hand into his, and he squeezed it gently. Maria would be so proud, she whispered. Look at what her dream has become. Indeed, Second Chance Studios had grown into something far more than a recording studio. It was a testament to the power of believing in people, of giving dreams the space and support they need to take flight. Every paper airplane that soared across the nest carried that message, that sometimes, the most beautiful symphonies begin with a single act of kindness. The success of Second Chance Studios began attracting attention from unexpected places. a documentary filmmaker, who had stumbled upon their story through the Children's Hospital program, approached David with an idea to capture their journey. Not just Anna's story, but the entire tapestry of lives that had been transformed through the power of music and kindness. Initially, Anna was hesitant about being filmed. Her journey had always been about the music, not the spotlight. But Luna, with her simple wisdom, helped change her mind. "Remember when you were singing in the subway, Mama?" she said one evening as they folded paper airplanes together. "You always said your songs were like messages in bottles, hoping to reach someone who needed them. Maybe this is just another way to send those messages." The documentary crew spent 6 months following the daily life of Second Chance Studios. They captured Carmen teaching her first music class to a group of single parents. They filmed Carlos mentoring a young mechanic who wrote songs about cars and dreams. They recorded May's classical piano fusion performances that drew crowds of young musicians eager to break traditional boundaries. But it was the scenes from the Children's Hospital that touched hearts the most. The crew filmed a session where Anna and Luna worked with a group of young patients, teaching them to fold paper airplanes and set their wishes to music. Each child wrote a dream on their plane before launching it, while Anna and the other musicians created spontaneous songs about their hopes. One young patient, a 12-year-old boy undergoing chemotherapy, wrote that he wanted to be a music teacher someday. His paper airplane didn't fly very far, but his smile when Anna invited him to strum her guitar lit up the entire room. The documentary captured that moment, the pure joy of music transcending pain and fear. The film also showed the less glamorous side of their work. Late nights of recording, the challenge of balancing artistic dreams with real-world responsibilities, the moments of doubt and exhaustion. But through it all, the sense of community shone through. David allowed the crew to film in Maria's memorial room, a small space filled with photographs and memories that he'd never shown to anyone before. He shared stories about her journey from subway singer to successful artist, and how she never forgot the helping hand that changed her life. "Maria always said that talent is everywhere," David explained to the camera, touching a faded photograph of a young woman singing in a Boston subway station. "But opportunity? That's rare. She made me promise to keep creating those opportunities, to keep believing in people who just need someone to believe in them first." The documentary caught the attention of a major streaming service, but once again, the Second Chance family faced a decision. The platform wanted to focus mainly on Anna's rags-to-riches story, downplaying the community aspect. After much discussion in the nest, they chose to partner with a smaller, independent streaming service that understood their vision. "We're not here to be celebrities," Anna explained during a family meeting. "We're here to show that success isn't just about individual achievement, it's about lifting each other up." The film, titled Paper Airplane Dreams, The Second Chance Story, premiered at a local theater. The audience was a beautiful mix of their extended family, musicians, hospital patients, scholarship recipients, and even some of the regular commuters who used to watch Anna perform in the subway. During the premiere, something magical happened. Luna had organized the children from the hospital program to distribute paper airplanes to everyone in the audience. At a specific moment in the film, when Anna's subway song played, hundreds of paper airplanes soared through the theater, each carrying messages of hope and gratitude. The documentary's release brought new opportunities and challenges. More musicians sought out Second Chance Studios, inspired by the stories they'd seen. David and the team had to find ways to maintain their intimate, family-like atmosphere while accommodating growth. They decided to start a mentorship program, pairing experienced artists with newcomers. Anna, who had once been the newcomer herself, now helped other mothers balance their musical dreams with family responsibilities. Carmen specialized in helping street performers transition to studio recording, while May developed a program for classical musicians looking to explore contemporary styles. The Children's Hospital program expanded to other hospitals in the city. Luna, growing into her role as a young leader, helped design a special curriculum for siblings of long-term patients, using music and paper airplanes to help them process their emotions. One day, while sorting through fan mail that had begun arriving at the studio, Rose found a letter that brought tears to her eyes. It was from a woman in another state who had been singing in subway stations to support her family. After watching the documentary, she had gathered the courage to approach a local music studio with her songs. "Your story showed me that dreams don't have an expiration date," the woman wrote. "That it's never too late to believe in yourself, especially when others believe in you too." The letter sparked a new initiative. Second Chance Studios began partnering with small, independent studios across the country, sharing their model of community-based artist development. They created a network of safe spaces where talented musicians could find their voice without sacrificing their authenticity. As summer turned to fall, Anna found herself back at the Jefferson Street subway station, not to perform, but to listen. She and Luna would sometimes spend their Sunday afternoons there, watching new performers, leaving encouraging notes and small gifts of support. They called it their gratitude walks, a way of remembering where their journey began and paying forward the kindness that had changed their lives. During one of these visits, they noticed a young father singing while his son did homework on a worn backpack. The scene was so familiar it made Anna's heart ache. She reached into her bag for one of the business cards she now carried, not David's original card, but new ones for Second Chance Studios, each printed with a small paper airplane in the corner. As Luna handed the card to the young father, Anna remembered David's words from that first night, "Because 20 years ago, someone gave my wife a similar chance." The cycle of kindness continued, one paper airplane, one song, one dream at a time. With the documentary's success, Second Chance Studios faced an unexpected challenge: how to handle their growing influence while staying true to their roots. The answer came from an unlikely source: the children at the hospital. During one of their regular music therapy sessions, a young patient named Tommy, who had been in and out of treatment for 3 years, made an observation that changed everything. While watching other kids launch their paper airplanes, each carrying a different dream, he noticed how they flew in different directions but ultimately created a beautiful pattern together. "It's like a constellation," he said, his eyes following the paper trails. "Each one is separate but they're all connected somehow." This simple observation sparked an idea that would shape the next phase of Second Chance Studios' evolution. Anna, David, and the team began developing what they called the Constellation Initiative, a network of small, independent music spaces across the city, each with its own unique focus but all connected by the same spirit of community and support. The first star in their constellation was a converted laundromat in a working-class neighborhood. They partnered with the owner, a retired jazz musician, to create a space where people could do their laundry while attending free music workshops or participating in open mic sessions. Luna dubbed it Soap Opera Studios, and the name stuck. The second location opened in partnership with a local library, creating a music education center where children could learn instruments, write songs, and perform for their community. The librarians reported a surprising trend: as the music program grew, so did interest in books about music, poetry, and creative writing. A third space emerged in collaboration with a women's shelter, where Anna and Carmen worked with residents to process their experiences through songwriting. The shelter's director noticed that participants in the music program showed increased confidence and stronger peer support connections. The documentary's impact continued to ripple outward. Other cities began reaching out, asking how they could replicate the Second Chance model. Rather than franchise or expand too quickly, David and the team chose to share their knowledge freely, creating detailed guides and online resources for communities wanting to start their own music support networks. Meanwhile, the original Second Chance Studios remained the heart of it all. The Nest had become a legendary venue in the local music scene, known for its authentic performances and supportive atmosphere. Every month, they hosted First Flight Fridays, where new artists could share their music in a safe, encouraging environment. Luna, now 8, had developed her own following among the young musicians' children. Her paper airplane designs had evolved into complex creations, each with its own story. She started a weekly Dream Pilots Club where kids could learn to fold planes while sharing their hopes and fears. The parents noticed that these sessions often led to deeper conversations with their children about their own artistic journeys. One autumn evening, as golden light filtered through the nest's windows, Anna received news that would test their commitment to their values. A major music festival wanted her to headline their Emerging Artists stage. The exposure would be incredible, but the dates conflicted with their annual hospital benefit concert. The old Anna might have seen this as her big break, but the woman she'd become knew better. Success wasn't measured by the size of the stage, but by the depth of the impact. She declined the festival offer and instead proposed something different, a live-streamed benefit concert from the Children's Hospital, featuring performances by second-chance artists alongside young patients. The hospital administration was initially hesitant about the logistics, but Luna's Dream Pilots Club had an idea. They would decorate the entire pediatric ward with paper airplane constellations, each plane carrying LED lights that could be turned on when donations reached certain milestones. The kids would be part of creating something beautiful while helping raise funds for music therapy programs. The live stream event exceeded everyone's expectations. Viewers from around the world tuned in to watch professional musicians perform alongside young patients. Tommy, now in remission, performed a duet with Anna, a song they'd written together about finding light in the darkness. During their performance, his paper airplane constellation lit up the ceiling, creating a moment of pure magic that no traditional concert could have matched. The success of the hospital concert led to an unexpected partnership. A leading children's hospital network proposed integrating the Second Chance music therapy program into their standard care protocols. They wanted to study the impact of music and creative expression on recovery rates and patient well-being. David saw this as a fulfillment of Maria's legacy. She always believed that music was medicine for the soul, he told Anna as they reviewed the proposal. Now we have a chance to prove it. The research project would require careful documentation and analysis, but they were determined to maintain the personal touch that made their program special. Each participating hospital would receive not just curriculum materials and instruments, but also training in what they called the second chance spirit, the belief that every voice deserves to be heard, every dream deserves to take flight. As part of the program's expansion, Anna began training other musicians in their unique approach to music therapy. She shared not just techniques and songs, but the deeper understanding she'd gained through her own journey, how music could bridge gaps, heal wounds, and create connections that transcended ordinary communication. During one training session, a participant asked Anna if she ever regretted not taking the more commercial path to success. She smiled and pulled out her old subway performer's permit, now framed and hanging in her office. Success isn't always what we think it will be, she explained. Sometimes it's not about rising to the top, but about lifting others up along the way. Every time I see a paper airplane soar, every time I hear a new voice find its strength, I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That evening, as she and Luna walked home, they passed the Jefferson Street station. The sounds of a new street performer drifted up from below, a young voice full of hope and hunger, just as Anna's had been not so long ago. Luna reached into her backpack and pulled out a carefully folded paper airplane. "Should we?" she asked, her eyes twinkling. Anna nodded, watching as her daughter made her way down the stairs, ready to pass on the message that had changed their lives. Dreams take flight in the most unexpected places, and sometimes all we need is someone to believe in the power of our voice. 2 years had passed since that fateful evening in the subway station, and Second Chance Studios was preparing for its biggest celebration yet, the opening of their 100th affiliated music therapy program. The event would bring together people from all walks of life who had been touched by their mission, from street performers turned recording artists to young patients who had found their voice through music. The venue for the celebration was unexpected, the Jefferson Street subway station. Anna had insisted on it, wanting to honor where everything began. The transit authority, impressed by how Second Chance had transformed lives across the city, agreed to close the station for one evening. In the weeks leading up to the event, Luna's Dream Pilots Club worked tirelessly to transform the underground space. They created an elaborate system of paper airplane constellations that stretched along the curved ceiling, each one representing a different Second Chance location. The children from the hospital program had written messages of hope on each plane, creating a sky of dreams above the platform where Anna had once sung for spare change. David had been quieter than usual during the preparations, often standing in Maria's memorial room for long periods. One afternoon, Anna found him there, holding a dusty guitar case. "This was Maria's," he said softly, opening it to reveal a well-loved acoustic guitar. "She used to say that every instrument carries the echoes of all the songs it's played, all the dreams it's helped shape." He held it out to Anna. "I think it's time for it to make music again." The evening of the celebration arrived with an almost magical quality. The usually harsh fluorescent lights of the subway station had been replaced with warm, twinkling ones that made the paper airplanes cast dancing shadows on the walls. Musicians from every Second Chance location had come to perform, creating a continuous stream of music that flowed through the station like a river of hope. Tommy, now cancer-free and pursuing his dream of becoming a music teacher, led a choir of young patients in a song he'd written about his journey. Carmen and her son performed a duet that brought tears to eyes of even the most stoic observers. May played a fusion piece that combined classical piano with the rhythmic sounds of the subway, turning the ambient noise of trains into percussion. The highlight of the evening was a surprise that Luna had organized with help from Rose. They had collected stories from hundreds of people whose lives had been touched by Second Chance, former street performers who now ran their own music programs, parents who had found strength through song, children who had discovered their voice during hospital stays. These testimonials were written on special paper airplanes that glowed in the dark. At a designated moment, all the lights dimmed, and Luna led the Dream Pilots Club in launching these luminous planes through the station. As they soared, recordings of the stories played softly through the speakers, creating a symphony of voices that echoed off the tile walls. Anna stood on the same spot where she had once sung lullabies to Luna, now holding Maria's guitar. Looking out at the gathered crowd, David and Rose, Carmen and her thriving music class students, hospital patients past and present, fellow musicians, and countless others whose lives had intertwined with theirs, she began to sing. It wasn't one of her known songs, but something new, something that had been growing in her heart throughout the preparations for this evening. It was a song about circles closing and new ones beginning, about dreams that take flight on paper wings and return as constellations, about strangers becoming family and music becoming medicine. As she sang, Luna moved through the crowd, teaching anyone who wanted to learn how to fold a simple paper airplane. The sight of business executives learning from children, of former street performers sharing stories with current ones, of patients teaching their doctors, it was everything Second Chance had come to represent. Towards the end of the evening, David took the makeshift stage. His voice wavered with emotion as he made an announcement that would ensure the continuation of their work for generations to come. He was establishing the Maria's Dream Foundation, which would provide permanent funding for music therapy programs in hospitals nationwide and support for struggling musicians who showed promise and determination. But more than money, he said, this foundation will continue what Maria started and what all of you have helped build, the belief that every voice deserves to be heard, that every dream deserves a chance to soar. He then revealed one final surprise. The foundation would be led by a board of directors that included Anna, Carmen, and other artists who had risen from the subway platforms to help others find their voice. Luna was named the head of a new youth advisory committee, ensuring that the next generation would have a say in shaping the foundation's future. As the celebration wound down, Anna found herself sitting with Luna on the subway steps, just as they had countless times before. But now, instead of counting coins and worried about tomorrow's meals, they were watching paper airplanes sail through the air, carrying new dreams skyward. "Mama," Luna said, carefully folding a last piece of paper. "Remember when you used to tell me that our songs were like messages in bottles?" Anna nodded, holding Maria's guitar close. "I think they were more like paper airplanes all along," Luna continued. "Because bottles can only go where the current takes them, but paper airplanes." She launched her creation into the air, watching it soar in a perfect arc. "Paper airplanes go wherever we dream they can go." The next morning, as the subway station returned to its usual rhythm, something had changed. The paper airplane constellations remained overhead, protected by a clear barrier and now a permanent art installation. A small plaque told their story, not just Anna and Luna's, but all the stories of Second Chance Studios. And if you visit Jefferson Street Station today, you might notice something special. During rush hour, when the platforms are crowded with hurried commuters, sometimes a paper airplane will drift down from above. Each one carries the same message. Dreams take flight in unexpected places. What's yours? Below these words, you'll find a simple invitation to visit Second Chance Studios, where every voice matters and every story deserves to be sung. Because as Anna learned that fateful evening 2 years ago, sometimes the end of one journey is just the beginning of a greater symphony, one that plays on in the hearts of all those who dare to believe in the magic of second chances and the power of paper airplane dreams.